What's the underlying belief of a 5?
So the 5's unconscious motivation is to know everything. It is to perceive.
But they're not
everything.
know-it-alls, really. I notice 5s don't necessarily show off that. No, do they?
Sometimes.
Okay, they can. The 5s that I know, they're actually just encyclopedias.
But sometimes a 5 in an unhealthy space can be condescending with their knowledge. Because the knowledge is a defense against the belief, sort of the private belief of that they're inept and inadequate. So sometimes the 5 will, it's like when you go to a professor and they'll ask you a question about Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare, and you go, I didn't read it. And they'll give you this look down their nose like, you haven't read Much Ado About Nothing? And it's, kind of weaponizing knowledge in order to feel better than the person who doesn't have the knowledge.
Right.
This is a 5, by the way, that's not very self-aware. A self-aware 5 would not do that.
Yeah.
Right.
My 5 friends, just wouldn't.
Right. They're not going to do that. So these are very analytical, emotionally detached people. Most emotionally
Are they always
detached.
introverts?
Not necessarily.
But usually. Or introvert characteristics?
I think so. But I'm never surprised.
Yeah.
Here's how I often talk about the Enneagram. When I talk about characteristics and anything about a type, I'll go, don't be surprised if they're introverts. Because I do always want to make space for each of these types to have their own way of being in the world. Maybe I'd put it like this. Each of these types is a low resolution picture of a person's way of being in the world. Now, it's going to give you about a 20% more clarity than someone who doesn't know the Enneagram, and that's a gigantic amount in terms of an advantage, but it's still low res, right? I mean, we're creating space for, the fact that these are not, you don't want to get locked in this idea that these are perfect descriptions of every single type. There's no such thing as a pure type.
Right.
So let's just, keep that in mind. I love that it's not INFP, ENTJ. It's like, that's a little too boxy. This is more nuanced.
Fluid.
Yeah, a little bit more nuanced. So
how do you win with a 5?
You know what I said, that with 2s, you want to make sure there's a lot of foot traffic? Right? So if you want to incentivize a 5.
No foot traffic?
No foot traffic. Just tell them that they can go work at Starbucks. Just tell them, take your laptop, go work at Starbucks.
Gotcha.
It's
interesting. We have a 5 on staff who's twice as productive if he works remote.
Totally.
Yeah.
I worked with a company, and the guy was a 3, and he was overseeing 500 coders. A 3 working with 500 coders.
Who are probably mostly 5s.
Mostly 5s. And when I described 5s, his eyes got like saucer large. I mean, you know what I mean? He was like, oh my gosh. And I said to him, stand a foot further back from the 5 than you would with a 2. Or even with yourself, right? Because they have a lot of private space. They're not very tactile people who want you to pat them on the shoulder necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling 2s all the time, stop hugging 5s. Like, they don't like it as much as you do.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And so I think with 5s, giving them space to work in solitude and for them to have control over how much contact they have with people in the course of a day. The 3 wants the corner office that's got the glass walls for everyone to see, but the 5 wants to be in the closet, in the basement.
Right.
With 10 PAs between them and the rest of the world. Now, again, I'm overstating things, but for the sake of illustration. But again, it's just a different way of being in the world. So you can incentivize them by giving them just privacy.
So give them space.
Give them space, give them privacy. And by the way, give them a task, they'll get it done, man.
Yeah, no, they're incredible.
Yeah, they're going to get it done. As long as they don't get lost in the research. At some point, they have to go, enough research, I got to just do it.
In personal interaction with a 5, I know in business you want to give them their space, and the negative thing to hurt them would be you don't. Throw them in a room with a bunch of people, put them in a bunch of meetings, those kinds of things, lots of personal interaction. In personal interaction with a 5, what don't you want to do?
Don't pry into their personal lives. Because
so the opposite of a 2. How were you this weekend?
Totally. Opposite of a 4. If you said to me, hey man, tell me about your family, I'm going to tell you pretty personal stuff about my family. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You may even see that was a little bit of overshare. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't really need to know that about your family and its struggles and stuff like that. But with a 5, you could ask the same question of a 5 and they would kind of be taken aback and feel like maybe that was prying.
It's a little bit of like, where are you going? Why do you ask? I remember there was a 5 on our staff who I really love, and I said, where'd you go to college? And literally the look on his face was, why do you want to know? What are you getting at?
Yeah,
I'm getting at where'd you go to college? I'm just curious. We've never talked about it.
Here's a good thing to do with 5s. Don't ask them about their emotional life per se. as much as tell me about your interests.
Ah,
So
that's a good tip.
Yeah, and you're going to be spending maybe 3 hours learning about their interest in, Studebakers from a particular year, and all of the features it had in it. And they can be fascinating if they're not in a unhealthy space where they can become almost manic and trying to get information to you, and it won't always necessarily be as organized in its presentation. Talking to them about their interests makes them feel valued and important and seen.
Okay. Enneagram type 6.
I love 6s.
Betsy Miller. I love Betsy Miller.
I have so much love for 6s, and I'm always sad that sometimes 6s are like, oh, we're kind of so common, because we think there are more 6s in the world than the other type.
Yeah.
And 6s, sometimes like 1s, can often devalue themselves in a way that I'm always trying to say, stop it. Stop it. You guys are awesome. They're called the loyalists. Their unconscious motivation is they have a need to feel safe and secure in the world. And so these are worst case scenario thinkers who are always prepping for the worst to happen because they want to be safe, right? So it's better to be.
My wife could become a prepper, like a real prepper, like 5-gallon tanks of beans and rice.
That's left inside the bunker.
But she knows how much water we have to survive. It's really fascinating. We are not preppers. We do not have that stuff in our home.
Right.
Like we're building a house and there's a garage. In the back of the garage, I wanted to put an office with no windows. Just like give me a desk. This is where I'm going to get my writing done. It's my new writing shed. It's going to cost $500 to finish it. And she's just like, hey, you have so many offices. You have offices here and there. And I literally just looked at her and go, it's going to make a great tornado shelter. And she just went, yep. Check approved.
It's what I like to call pre-traumatic stress disorder. It's right. Like they're just ready for it. And, we need these people in our lives because especially a guy like you who's very assertive and oftentimes won't notice what could go wrong.
She's my security system.
Because you're so actually confident that you're like, I got it covered.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, I got to cover.
We'll get out of it.
Yeah.
If we get kidnapped, we'll get out of it. We'll figure it out. We'll talk to them.
Yeah.
We'll work out a deal.
Yeah. The nice thing about 6s is they'll prevent you from getting kidnapped. Did I ever tell you the story about the chimps?
Well, yes, but it bears repeating for our audience.
Oh, I love this story. So there was a couple of research scientists, and they wanted to see what would happen if they took a couple of the chimps in a group, a family of chimps, who exhibited anxiety. They said, well, let's take them out of the group. Let's see what happens to the group. So they took out...
You remove the anxiety from the group, things will certainly get better.
Take out the anxious chimps. Right?
That's right.
The ones that look like they are exhibiting signs of anxiety on a regular basis. They take them out, they come back 6 months later, and the rest of the family is dead. It's all dead.
And here's why. We're picking out fountains that go into our pool. Like there's a wall next to our pool, and there's going to be fountains. And one of the fountains that I thought was really kind of pretty poked out about 4 inches, and the other ones were sort of flat against the wall. Betsy instantly knew a child will jump off the wall. They'll scrape themselves on that 4-inch thing. We're going with the ones flat against the wall. I'm like, wow, that is rapid risk management, like in the moment.
And can you see how great that is in an organization?
Oh, absolutely. We won't have kids cutting themselves up, jumping off the...
Right. Same thing in your company, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Right. So I just did a podcast on typology where I had a guy, very successful company, one of my favorite companies. Their name is Booster, and I feel free to say that on here because as a client, they are maybe one of the most fun, wonderful companies I work with. I love these guys. 7 is the CEO. He is one of the most dynamic, fun, inspiring. We can kill
all the
it.
Fireworks.
And his number 2 guy, his CFO, and really I think best advisor is a 6. A little bit older, maybe 5-10 years. I'm not sure what the difference is, but he is so great at just saying to the 7, awesome idea, and
here's the potential downfalls.
And he does it in a way that doesn't deflate the 7 because the 6, this guy who's a 6 is self-aware enough to know, I got to deliver this message in a way that's helpful, not in a way that's going to be a wet blanket. And I'm telling you, I'm sure they've been successful because of their relationship.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Nothing better than healthy 6. How do you win with a 6?
Honor the questions. They have a million questions. They doubt themselves, and sometimes they doubt the authority figure because they're worried. Does the authority figure have a plan in case something goes wrong?
Right.
So they're going to ask a lot of questions to see, well, does he or she know what to do when things go south? And once you've answered all the questions and have not dismissed them, right? Because if you say to a 6, stop being a pessimist, they'll say, I'm a realist. So if you say to them...
And they are.
They are,
Things
right?
could really happen.
But it smells like pessimism to
Right.
especially a 3 or a 7. People who want to keep charging forward with, we can do it. The 6 is like, how? What if this happens? Are we ready for this if that happens? And how do you plan to do this when? And if you just say, great question, I'm going to do this. You come prepared to a meeting. All the contingencies are in place. And once you get the 6's loyalty activated, they are with you.
Undying.
Undying loyalty. Because they're like, I can trust this leader. Mm-hmm. If they don't, if they feel like you're sloppy, if you're not seeing the potential downsides,
you're going to get somebody hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6s are amazing.
I love them.
How do you hurt a 6?
Well, obviously, one is to not take seriously
Right.
their questions. I think another way to hurt a 6 is to be a leader that, because remember, they're always looking at the authority figure, right? Mm-hmm. They're always saying, are they a good guy or a good woman, in this role as a leader? Mm-hmm. You really have to be straight up with them. They do not like people who are dishonest. They can smell somebody that's not telling the whole truth, Mm-hmm. So as a leader, you got to be straight up with them and not in any way, shape, or form, like with 8s, but for different reasons, landscape the truth.
Yeah. You know what? I've learned that in the years married to Betsy. Don't hide things.
Don't hide things. They can take it. It might freak them out more than an 8 who has the same kind of dynamic in their lives. But they really want to know what's going on because you really can't be safe and secure unless you know what's going down.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love them. They're awesome people.
Enneagram 7, the enthusiast.
Oh, man. So if 6s manage fear with pessimism, 7s manage fear with optimism.
It's a great way of seeing it.
Right?
Yeah. It actually makes a lot of sense, both 6s and 7s now. When you say that, they make a lot more sense to me.
Totally. So 7s...
Because they're both managing fear. That's the thing I didn't realize. They're both managing fear. One is by facing it, going to worst case scenario as fast as possible and figuring out what we're going to do. The other is to say, that's never going to happen. Let's just optimistically move forward.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So 7s are motivated. This is the unconscious motivation by a need to be happy, to plan stimulating experiences, and to avoid difficult feelings. These are adventure takers, right? Adventure seekers, always thinking about the next escapade.
Best times of my life have been guided by 7s.
Yeah.
Bob Goff in Africa.
Oh. I mean, Bob
or
is...
Bob Anywhere.
Bob Anywhere. Bob is the quintessential 7.
Yeah. Bob in the Middle East. I went to Iraq with Bob.
Yeah, with balloons. Walking around Syria with balloons.
We literally did. So I was like, that's not a joke. We actually did. That's really funny.
It is. It's fantastic, right? And
Yeah.
when they're self-aware, a person like Bob who's self-aware, when you can channel your superpower correctly, every single number is fantastic, right? 7s bring more energy to an organization. You want to see either a 2 or a 7 when you come in the door because they bring the juice, man. They bring the juice.
They do, yeah.
And I'm always telling 7s, hey, you got to just be careful around 5s.
Yeah.
Go easy with our investigators because you bring a lot of energy that can feel a little overwhelming to the 5.
That's not your receptionist.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You want to win with a 7, one way to do it, you better have a job description that got lots and lots of different dimensions to it. Don't give them stuff they have to repeat over and over again. They don't like routine. Feels like stuckness, which is a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Which they are trying to avoid at all costs. I think if you want to win with a 7, don't put them in necessarily. Now, this isn't always true, but sometimes I think in certain 7s it is. In management positions for too long, they're great startup people, but they're not great in management oftentimes because in management, you got to make hard calls. You got to fire people. You got to discipline people, right?
Yeah. And they don't want to do that stuff.
They don't want to do that stuff. It's bad feelings. In fact, if anything, what a 7 will do is flatten hierarchies. So that there's this kind of camaraderie on the team because they don't really want to go to the place of disappointing people. 7s don't like to disappoint.
Yeah.
So management can be difficult for them. I'm always telling people, just keep moving around. Wherever you need juice, send them there.
Put some energy right there.
They will put energy in, and it'll be very positive energy. Can you imagine?
emceeing events, emceeing meetings, helping a team bond, working with the human, not being the human resource, but working with them to say, let's do something fun.
Yes, and because...
Entertaining clients.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fantastic at that. And I would say they're so optimistic. You want someone who says, we can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
To borrow the phrase, yes, we can.
Yeah.
It's like they bring, and not only that, we're going to have fun doing it. I mean, who doesn't want to hear that message when you're taking on a new business or you're whatever it might be? I mean, you
Right.
want that energy around,
Right.
right? If you want to lose with a 7, again, the opposite of what I've just said is put them in situations where they get stuck, where it's routine, where it's too predictable,
Yeah.
right, on a daily basis. I have a friend of mine who's a 7, and she kind of has the perfect job. She's a consultant, so she works with different companies all the time. It's never getting stuck in one company situation. Constant travel around the world. So works with companies in Dubai, works with companies here, works with companies in Europe. She finishes a job, moves on to a new one. I mean, this is a perfect job for a 7.
Yeah.
Right?
I've got another friend who's a 7 that you've just described his career.
Really?
Yeah. They're just going from place to place to place. Always incredibly impactful.
Yep.
Could easily stay there and make millions, but moves on to something else, moves on to a different city.
Yeah. So there you're leveraging something that's fantastic. You know, sometimes you hear people saying, you know, I leveraged my ADHD to become very,
Right.
very successful. You know, I think with a 7, they're leveraging what could potentially be a negative and using it as a positive, but you got to be self-aware and self-knowledgeable to make that work.
All right, 8. Enneagram 8.
Motivated by a need to assert power and control over the environment in order to mask vulnerability and weakness.
You say they don't fear. They're not like the 7s or the 6s driven by fear. What are they
No.
driven by? What are they reacting to? Where did this personality come from? By the way, used to not be able to deal with 8s hardly at all. I've learned to absolutely love working with 8s.
I love 8s.
Once you understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, you don't get offended. You know, it's just easier.
Yeah, and they make me laugh.
They're very funny.
Right. They are arguably, oftentimes, a healthy 8 is the most popular number on the Enneagram.
It's not surprising.
People love the gusto,
Yeah.
the go for it, the honesty.
Yeah.
They have a great sense of humor, you know, when they're in a good space. When they're not, you know, that got rid of the number. That's not when they lack self-knowledge. They're a train wreck. Right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we all are.
Yeah, we all are.
What is that they're reacting to? You would say it's not fear, because fear is a dominant motivator of human behavior. So if they don't feel fear, what are they reacting to?
8s are kind of suspicious and a little cynical. And the cynicism is this: the world is a dangerous place in which the weak get taken advantage of and the strong survive. It's a might
Closest
make
to
right
the
world.
Darwinian kind of mindset.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I will not be at the mercy of anybody else. I will not let others control me. I will push back against limitations and authority sometimes, but I want the world to, I mean, sometimes people feel like they're being controlled by an 8. And actually, that is not what 8s are concerned about. 8s are less concerned about controlling you than they are about you controlling them. So one of the ways, you know, with an 8, one of the things you want to keep in mind is because they're always kind of, not always, but they tend to push back against authority, and they don't like being told, like 7s actually, what to do. Like if you want an 8 to do something, just tell them to do the opposite. They want to push back a little bit. So with an 8, you really have to set limitations, boundaries, expectations, keep them, you know, engaged. Oh my gosh, keep them busy. Otherwise, my daughter's an 8. My daughter works 16. She'd work 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know, and she needs, because they have more energy than any other number on the
They're
Enneagram.
incredible.
So they need to be working all the time. She's not happy when she's not going all the time. So it's like you bake that into your calculations, you honor where they are, you help them not over-rely on their superpowers, because that's where, you know, over-relying on the gift becomes a liability.
Right.
We all know that. That's a standard formula. I think with the 8, you know, you just have to make sure that you are setting up guardrails. Actually, this is really good. When you know your Enneagram type, you know, on your car, I don't know if you have this, it's like driver assist. Like when you start
Yes.
to drift out of your lane, it bumps you back in. It just nudges you back in. That's what self-knowledge does.
Yeah, it's true.
So when you know your type and you know the types of other people, as you start to leave your lane, you start to over-rely on the gift. The gift starts to become a liability, bump, put you back in the lane. I think that's a great way of sort of thinking about type and what you can do once you know it.
I've got an 8 who's very close to me. We just brought him on staff. And as a 3 strategic visionary writer, I'll tend to cast a vision. I move at the 50,000 foot level. I'm working with the principal personalities who are going to help us do this, those kinds of things. My default mode, which has driven my staff crazy at times, is I won't get in and actually manage the expectations. So sometimes they feel like they're flying blind. They know the big picture, but they're not exactly sure how they want me to get there. And I brought on an 8, and one of the things he's really great at is getting into the trenches and having the energy to help them see it through, which is just fantastic.
Totally.
Yeah.
These are people who sleep on the floor to get it done. It's a piece that
we've been missing. Yeah.
In fact, you'll have to tell 8 sometimes, go home. Stop. You're going to get, you're overworking. You're going to get too tired and get sick. I mean, because they will.
And they're as
work
driven.
themselves.
They're as driven, if not more driven, than a 3. It's a slightly different motivation, but they're in it with you. They want to talk about work. They want to talk about getting things done.
Absolutely. One of the things, I had a guy that I worked with. He was a hedge fund manager of a very large hedge fund. He was trying to win the business of a guy at a very large firm and trying to get some money under management from them. And he came to me and he said, man, I'm having the hardest time getting this guy to give me his business. This was billions of dollars. This wasn't a couple $100 million or something. And I said, well, tell me about him. And he described an 8. This guy's a 3 that went to Harvard Business School. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sharp, the whole thing, the whole package. And I said, well, how are you dealing with it when he starts pushing against you? He said, well, I just try to be diplomatic and calm. I said, give it up, dude. You got to bring it, and in a way that's respectful, but you got to bring it and push back against him. And I gave him some tips about how to do it. Won the business.
I wish I had that advice 20 years ago, sitting with a hedge fund manager, fund of funds, Enneagram 8, and went through this whole thing that I was going to do for fatherless kids. And he just looked at me and said, it won't work. And I was so offended by that. How can you just smash my vision? And I wish I would have known more then.
Yeah.
Because I said, it will, and here's why, blah, 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 blah. Now I need you to show me my liability. Show me what I'm missing, because this is going to work. And it would have been a totally different conversation.
Absolutely.
And he and I became friends. Like, we spent a lot of time together after that. But I wish I would have known that about dealing with an 8, because he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings.
No.
He wasn't trying to smash our dreams.
No, not at all. He was actually just having a conversation with you. It wasn't a confrontation. It was a conversation.
Right. He was seeing my heart poured out on the table as an algorithm on Wall Street. Yeah. Yeah. That investment won't work.
Exactly.
It was really fascinating.
Yeah.
How do we hurt the feelings of an 8? What do we need to avoid?
I wouldn't worry so much about hurting the feelings of an 8. I mean, they can be. I mean, they have.
But you can show disrespect. You can cause harm in the relationship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just waffle. Be somebody that's indecisive. Don't be indecisive with an 8.
Yeah.
Stick to the plan. Just put your nose down. Be a mule in the snowstorm. Put your head down and go.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're kind of a person who's like, I was thinking about that, but then I did to change my mind, the 8 will be like, oh, golly. Like, just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
And
we need to be in motion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are people with a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Lots of momentum. They respect a strong leader. So you just don't want to be a leader that, is a little waffly or too much of a consensus builder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
They'll be like, just lead.
Yeah.
It's like the old Patton thing, right? Lead me, follow me, or get out of the way. That's an 8. They want to just like, lead me, follow me, or get out of the way. It's like, so, you get a pony up or you're kind of screwed with the 8.
Enneagram 9.
Yeah, called the peacemakers. I love 9s. You know that because I'm married to one, father to a 9. Their unconscious motivation is a need to keep the peace both externally and internally, right? Their inner world.
That's important to remember.
Super important.
Not just externally. They're internally doing something too.
They want to maintain inner tranquility.
Gotcha.
They want to maintain that Buddha-like calm, right? That serenity. They want to avoid conflict at all costs. They like the status quo. If 8s have more energy than any other number on the Enneagram, 9s have the least amount of stamina. I won't go into all the reasons for that. They're fairly complicated, but you ask a 9 and they will agree. Yeah, they will agree. You want to win with a 9, I would say be a consensus builder. I would say when you are in a meeting with a 9, you have to draw them out versus allowing them to merge with the agenda of the group. And so you really have to say, hey, John or Jane, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear your input. Do you agree with the group? Feel free not to agree with the group, because they often will merge into what everybody else wants to do. And, if they're not very healthy, take the path of least resistance.
Right.
Right. So that's something that will really help a 9 win. Also, 9s, unfortunately, often devalue what they bring to the table, and you have to tell them, man, you have so much to give us.
Is that encouraging for them?
Absolutely.
They need to hear it.
Yeah, sure. And they need to be reminded.
Gotcha.
Oh, Because, remember, in a way, we all fall asleep in our types to the truth about who we are. And so just to remind them, you really matter. And we really need you to step up and express your truth in this situation and bring it to the table, because otherwise we're going to miss out.
Yeah. We have a 9 on staff. He's our marketing director. He's fantastic. He does an amazing job, Tyler. And with Tyler, sometimes I know that I need to resolve tension almost formally. So that if there's something going wrong or whatever, we need to sit down and say, and it's not about his performance, but about, this didn't work, so we did this, blah, blah, blah. And somehow help let them know that their boss also sees this as now a peaceful situation. And I hope that serves him. He hasn't said that, but I hope it does. But I just know story loops need to be closed. We resolved this issue. We resolved this problem. We resolved this budget problem. We resolved this. Looks like this is working.
You know what I love about 9s? They know how to bring people along. So for example, you as a 3 or an 8, sometimes a 7, you all are so assertive that sometimes you don't bring people along with you in the day.
Oh, not true, Ian.
Whereas a 9...
Nobody on my team would say that.
So, sometimes consensus is the best way to make a decision.
Yeah.
If you want to bring people along, practicing consensus and trying to listen to everybody and figure out what it is that they're bringing in. Is it slower? Sure. But in the end, sometimes having a whole team come along with you and fully on board is, in the end, going to make things faster.
Is that a way to lose with a 9? Don't create consensus?
They don't like high conflict environments.
Gotcha.
If you have a 9 that's in a place where there's a lot of conflict going on and they're going to be shut down. They'll shut down pretty fast. If you want to lose with a 9, ask for a decision to be made too quickly. You make decisions in a heartbeat. Right? You're like, boom, 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 boom. 8s, with lots of other numbers, make decisions quickly. Not 9s. 9s want to take that in, and then they'll really want to think about it. And sometimes then you also have to tell them, time's up.
Yeah, you're going to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, get off the fence. Because sometimes a 9 will sit on the fence because getting off the fence and announcing a decision will cause...
tension.
Conflict,
and
tension. So you have to say to them, hey, you know what? I got to get a decision. Don't let life make the decision for you here.